Welcome to another exciting episode of Unraveling Intellectual Property with Michael Stein. Today, I am so pleased to have Linda Rahal of Tro and Rahal, an immigration law firm based in Bethesda, Maryland. Is that correct, Linda?
That's
Yes.
the plan.
I've known Linda since law school, too many years to, I want to say. Thank you for coming on the podcast, Linda.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the firm, and then we'll go into the topic of immigration and how does immigration fit with IP and technology?
That's right. I'm Linda Rahal, managing shareholder of Tro and Rahal, which has been in business for over 32 years. We focus on business immigration, helping employers hire foreign nationals in the U.S. and transfer foreign nationals into the United States and help their employees get work visas and green cards and citizenship to live the American dream.
I know a number of years ago you assisted my firm with respect to a trainee who that was right at COVID and ended up not coming. But let's get into this whole immigration thing. Technology firms, uh, law firms, intellectual property law firms, basically anything. Just like a kind of a summary, what are the different types of visas, first of all?
Yeah, so for tech firms, the primary visa has always been the H-1B visa, which is for specialty occupations. And that's defined as jobs that require a degree in a specific field, and that the person you're trying to hire has that degree in that specific field. It sounds pretty simple, but over the years, it has become more and more complex. And just recently in the last year, there's a lot of policies going on to restrict and limit the H-1B.
Okay. But we'll get into a lot more detail on that because I know there's a lot to unpack. But there's other types of visas like
Uh,
for trainees or for interns or I don't know. You
there,
tell
there
me.
are a lot of other visas. There's the J-1 visa, which can be used for interns and trainees. There's the H-3 visa, which we used to do a lot for trainees, and that gets filed with Immigration Service here in the United States, but they've become very restrictive on those, so we don't tend to do those as much. But that's the one I believe we did for your firm, Mike. And there's the L1 intra-company transfer. It requires that the employee has been employed abroad for a year by the company and is being transferred into the US to work for a company in the US that is affiliated by more than 50% ownership. And that person can come in as a manager or an executive or a person with specialized knowledge. Sorry. There's also the O1 visa for persons of extraordinary ability. And people always think, oh, you have to be like a Nobel Prize winner. But they're, or
No.
Melania Trump, one or the other. But for STEM occupations, they become a little more lenient. And you can fit the criteria if you have patents, if you've been the judge of the other work, just such as peer review articles, if you have publications and things like that. So I always review STEM degreed people and tech people for a possible O1.
Might they also fall under the H-1B?
No, no, they can. You can either do the
Okay.
H-1B or the L1 sometimes, or the O1. And then there are specific visas and trade treaties with certain countries, like Mexico and Canada have the TN category, and then Singapore, Chile, and Australia have other visa categories that are similar to the H-1B, but not subject to the annual limit. The H-1B, the issue.
Okay, well, hold on. I know. Just in a general overview, since COVID, what impact has things had on the visas? Forget about like the most recent H-1B. We might even just have that as a whole part two of this. Uh, how have things changed since COVID? And then as we start moving away from COVID, and as a general matter, like the types of visas, and if you just go into like what your experience has been.
I think the main thing that changed during COVID was, and since, is processing times. And everything takes longer than most people think it should take. And so, and trying to say, oh, I want to send this person to the United States to work, you got to be planning at least 6 months, and better if it's a year in advance. Coming and saying in 2 months, I want this person here, most of the time isn't possible anymore. The embassies were shut down during COVID, so they couldn't issue visas for the most part. And so there was a backlog there. And then also USCIS, the US Immigration Service, slowed down in their processing times.
Well, I'm guessing a heck of a lot fewer people were coming during COVID.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so have things returned back to whatever the quote normal is pre-COVID, or is it slower? Is it bigger?
Well, there was a surge after COVID, right? Because as you just said, a lot of people weren't coming. And when the
Right.
borders opened up again, there was a surge, and that has kind of evened out since then. COVID was now like 6 years ago. So, um, and
Yeah.
so things have sort of normalized in that respect. But then there's been a lot of changes with policies and new laws and new regulations.
So even before we get into the details of things, you need 6 months lead time. How do you hire, like, as a practical matter, how do you hire someone where you say, I'm gonna hire you in 6 months? Or let's say you don't have an overseas company. How does that work practically?
Well, a lot of times those people are in the United States already. Um,
Um,
if they're in the United States, you don't always need a 6 month lead time. You can also premium process or expedite a lot of the immigration petitions by filing an extra fee of, it's now $2,805, but it's going up to like 2,900 and something. I just saw that today. Just today that came in.
Act fast, exploding offer.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of like, how do you get the experience, or how do you get the clearance? Like, how do you get in the United States in the first place?
A lot of people, do come as students, and
All right.
they graduate to the H-1B and then to a green card, and that's how they come and work and stay. Um, Others come just because they're being transferred here by their company. Um, some people invest. There's an E2 visa, which is also done by treaty with the United States. It's an investor visa, so people can start up their own companies in the United States. Um, Not a lot of Asian countries have it, but Japan and Korea do. China does not.
Mhm. All right. So yeah, I generally like to break these up into part one and part two, but let's start to get into this whole H-1B process. I'm a company. I need employees from overseas. Uh, how do I get started? Do I start? Well, I guess I can't apply for things until I have actual people, right? So I have to look for the people first.
Right.
Like, I'm a company. I've got these needs. I can't get them in the United States for whatever reason. What should the employer be thinking as far as logistics?
You have to recruit and get the
Okay.
person that you want. Um, if they're abroad, sometimes they're here and then you can hire them. Like if they already have an H-1B from another employer, they can move to you. If they're abroad and you want to file an H-1B, there's an H-1B cap. There's only a certain number of H-1Bs available every year. 65,000 for people with bachelor's degree, 20,000 for people with master's degree. We
I'm sorry, but is that based on calendar year?
Cal, well, it starts April 1.
Okay.
So the registration for the H-1B cap, and the reason why it's April 1 is October 1 is the start of the new fiscal year for the government. The new numbers come up. You can file 6 months in advance. So that's April
Okay.
1. So
So you want to get locked and loaded by October 1?
well, you want to get your There's a registration period for the H-1B cap. That's in March. So this starts our kind of tax season. It starts our H-1B season of
All right.
getting all the H-1B so that we can register them for the lottery in March. And then on April 1, there's a selection. And if you're selected, you'll have till June to submit your paperwork. And if it's approved, it starts October 1, 2026. So it's it's a long process.
So if you don't apply in March, are you basically screwed? I mean, do they fill up
Well,
like that and it's a
yeah,
lottery? So
they're gonna reach beyond the limit on day one.
okay, so basically if you want to use this process, you better have someone hired and so that time period in March to become part of the lottery. Otherwise, wait another year.
Yeah. Or look at the other visa alternatives. And we're doing more and more of that for people.
Okay. So let's end part one of immigration and technology companies with Linda. I'm going to have you back for part two. All right, sounds great. Thank you, Linda, and to all my viewers out there. Thank you for attending part one with Linda Rahal of Trone Rahal. Until next time.
Thank you, Mike.